Hello, everyone. Welcome to AuthorTube News, where we find the news so you don't have to. My name is Tamara Woods.
And my name is Carrow Brown.
And before we start this episode, I just wanted to let y'all know how we feel, in which case Black Lives Matter. And it shouldn't be a controversial statement to make, but apparently it is. So that's where we're at. And also, because we have been on an unintended extended hiatus, there's a lot of stories to cover.
I have no idea how I'm going to edit this under an hour, but we are going to try very hard.
So I would suggest grab your beverage of choice, a snack, comfy seat, and let's just jump into it.
I'm actually really happy to be here again, because I think it's just been one thing after another. It's either been a deadline, or in my case, like a semi-mental breakdown, and then I think you and I have probably laughed the most just trying to prep for this episode in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, this was a good time actually trying to figure out what we were going to talk about. Oddly enough, even though these topics aren't that great, but friendship is.
Yeah, we were trying to make light of some of the topics by doing little corny sing-alongs, which are not going to happen on this podcast. What happens off air stays off air.
And you're welcome. You really don't want to hear it anyway. There was no tunes carried in a bucket. We were just being goofs. Let's start this off with some announcements. And most of these announcements are actually things that have occurred while we've been, again, on this hiatus. However, the videos and such are still available for your consumption if you would so desire. So I'll start at the top and work my way down. And I'm not going to go into a lot of descriptions with any of this, but links will be in the description if you'd like to check it out. So Ingramsparks has a list of places where they'll be attending events, and that list is in the description. The official channel of YALLWEST Santa Monica Book Festival is available, and all the video from that. The RWA Board of Directors announced a new award, and this award is called the Vivian, named after trailblazing RWA founder Vivian Stevens. It will be planned for a fall 2020 launch, and I'll link so that you can go and read the full announcement if you're interested. The full BookCon online schedule that happened May 30th and the 31st. There was 30 plus panels. I'm not exactly sure how many panels are available online, but I do know there are quite a few. So I will give you the link for that and the Facebook page where I was finding the video. There is currently a Blackout Read Buddy Readathon that's happening. It's hosted by Books with Shay, and that it started June 5th and is until June 19th, and I will give you some links for that information. And BookTube had a town hall for race and inclusion on BookTube, and I'll give you a link for that in the description as well if you want to check that out. Something that I think, I don't know, maybe AuthorTube should look into doing.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
But that's just my suggestion.
So we've got controversial topics and a lot more controversial topics. Which one would you like to dive into? I can start with this really tame one. I think that's what we should do.
You want to start with tame and work our way up?
Yeah, work our way all the way to the super cringe-worthy, like somebody hold me. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is that I have been seeing a lot of reports in regards to YouTube accounts getting hacked. And the way that these accounts are getting hacked, and I got this information from Quartering, who did his research and then presented it to his audience, is that there are bots that basically leave very generic comments on your thing, like great content, please follow me, or let's be friends, which and then once you actually reply to that comment, and I don't have the answer as to why, but what happens is you end up losing access to your account. So again, I'm not 100% sure how that's happening, but I have seen a lot of people are losing access to their accounts and people are taking that. So what I would really encourage everybody to do is just kind of be a little wary. I know one of the first things that they teach us to do, with YouTube, and the one thing that I always preach about is engagement. So you always have to talk to your audience. But if you see a comment and you see that the avatar keeps changing like every 30 minutes, like that's been an indicator of my videos. I usually just delete those comments. But I'm really fortunate in like the majority of my audience will actually write like something in response to the question that I pose. So that's just my suggestion for you guys. But yeah, do protect your accounts. Do be wary of people trying to take your stuff, because trying to get it back from YouTube right now is a little difficult with a lot of people working from home and having limited access to the server.
And because YouTube's terrible at following up with smaller content creators.
Yeah, remember that one person where it took like 3 months for her to basically still not get access to her videos?
And she has like over 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Protect yourselves, friends. Protect yourselves.
Oh my gosh, why did I think of check yourself before you wreck yourself? Moving on. Let's see. How about we go into how to get an agent? Neither one of us have an agent, so this is more of a traditionally published gig where you're, working with the bigger houses. However, this sparked a heck of a lot of controversy. So that's why we're jumping right in. Janet Reed, she is a literary agent out of New York City. And she had tweeted, "I can't believe I need to say this again. Please do not, under any circumstances, mail clients to ask what I'm like to work with before you've gotten offered or even queried. They tell me about it, and your name goes on my list of people I don't want to work with ever." And there was a huge conversation that sparked from this. Another literary agent, Jim McCarthy at Goldreach and Barrett, he tweeted, "The power dynamic can seem flip-flop because we send out the rejections, but we need people to work for in order to make any money. Without you, there is no us. And my advice to agents and authors, don't be an a-hole, respect your partner, and advocate for what you believe is right." Basically saying that agents work for authors, and it's not in the reverse. And I'm going to give you of course, these different threads, but this one especially I found really interesting from Isabel Sterling, author of These Witches Don't Burn. Isabel had time that day, had time and a lot of feelings. But I felt that this thread, especially if you're someone who is looking into getting an agent and you do want to do that research and your due diligence, that there's a lot of actionable things in here. A couple things that she mentioned was, one, don't try contacting the big blockbuster names because they are less likely to respond to you and they probably won't really give you the time of day. First of all, try contacting people who are part of your friends list. So let's say it's a mutual that's on Twitter. So that could be an avenue. She also mentioned that if the person has their agent's name in the bio, then they may be more likely to discuss that agent with you. But of course, when you are contacting these people about their agent, you have to be courteous, kind, respectful, and don't be surprised if they decide not to talk about that, and give them that out because they might not be comfortable with talking about their agent, which is perfectly legit and they're right. They don't have to talk about it, but they may want to. I understand the concept of wanting to find out more about someone who will be part of my business team, which is essentially, what your agent is. That is a major part of your business team, and they will be a major part of your working life. And to me, it makes sense to want to do that research before actually reaching out to them to see if this is someone that I want to deal with them. What do you think, Carrow?
I think people naturally want to know about things before leaping into them. They want to get more information. They want to know how to proceed. I mean, there's tons of websites out there about rating things. Like, look at Rate My Professor. I'm actually on that website under my government name from when I used to be a teacher. And, a lot of folks are just trying to figure out, like, who you are, get a feel for you. And I just think it's a natural process. I think one person asked one of my friends what it was like to work with me. And they said, well, she's really direct and very dry, but, hardworking and stuff like that. And, I don't have any problem with people knowing those things. So I guess in the case of this agent who has an issue with people asking about her, like, is she worried that her authors are saying bad things? Or I don't see it as unprofessional. I guess that's just me. It's just natural.
The way I see it, that her being so staunchly against people contacting any of her clients, it made me wonder, well, what are you hiding, or what why don't you want them contacted? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Yeah, it's a bad look. And I agree with Isabel Sterling that having that kind of discourse, it kind of chills the conversation, and it makes newbies wary of contacting people and doing their due diligence. Well, gosh, if this literary agent who's, very well known is saying this, then maybe this isn't the right course of action.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing a thing in publishing right now, which we're going to get into with some of these later articles about transparency, because people want to know things, and publishing has been so secretive and keeping cards close to the chest about pretty much everything from how they function day to day to what they pay their employees to what authors make. Like, they haven't really wanted to tell anybody about that for, I think, a lot of reasons, but I don't really think the professional relationship that somebody has with their agent should actually fall into that bucket. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, somebody may ask about you as an agent, and that person queries you, and you find out, like, they're the best fucking author ever. And her basically saying, if you ask about me from one of my authors, I won't even talk to you. She's shutting a lot of doors, and I just think that that's a sad thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think that is the correct course of action. But as always, we want to know what your thoughts are. So let us know down in the comments. What's next on your agenda?
I'll just go ahead, and since we're talking about transparency, let's go ahead and talk about the hashtag PublishingPaidMe.
Oh.
So one of my favorite authors, L.L. McKinney, she's the author of the Nightmare Verse books, and it's basically an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I absolutely love it. I think it's really a great story. And on June 6th, she started a Twitter trend. Like, literally, she got the whole thing trending on Twitter, and I was like, wow. About in regards to, like, what authors made. And the whole point of the discussion was to find the disparity between what black authors were making versus their white counterparts. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you a spoiler. It's a big difference. Like, it's huge. I got a couple of numbers on here for you. I'm going to try to rattle them off real fast. So the first author that I have here is a white author of White A, and her name is Victoria Schwab. So for her first book, she got $20K. For her second book, she got $25K. For her third book, she got $30K. For the Savage Song, she got $40, and then she got another $40 right after that. And then for her last book, which was her 20th book, she got $100K. These are big numbers. I don't think I'll ever see these numbers, but that's what she got paid. One of her counterparts, who is a black author, so N.K. Jemisin, she got $40K for her first book, $25K for her next book, and then another $25 for her third book. So big difference there. I'm sure you can see these numbers in your head. This conversation went on for a little while, and lots of people were coming in and sharing their numbers and things like that. And Jemisin had to come in with a tweet that reads as the following. Okay, folks, lots of questions being asked about the PublishingPaidMe and need to clear up misconceptions. A lot of people are treating advances like earnings for a book, and no, basically advances indicate what the publishing industry thinks readers will like in the future. So that, I know advances depend on a lot of different things. It depends on the market, it depends on what's trending right now. For example, when the dystopia books were on the rise, those first few books, when they came out, those got a higher royalty because they could see that the market was going to be in the favor of those books. But then when it got saturated with the books, anybody who came in with the book after that basically got really low rankings. Kim Chance did an interview with another author who wrote dystopia, and they actually talked about that a little bit. And then you had a couple other authors like Nidhi Okorafor, if I'm saying that right. She wrote a series of books, the first one being Beniti, which I really love. This was like one of the few books where I was just literally giving Tamara like an update like every time I got somewhere. I was like, it's a great book, I fucking love it. But she said, I didn't ask for an advance. Instead, I wanted a higher royalty. I have no regrets. Like she's making buku bucks on that. But so here's where we get into some really interesting stuff. So we're moving into our male counterparts now, and I get a little riled up about this, but I'm going to try not to. A gentleman named Chip Creek, he wrote a book called Cape May, which is a historical fiction. But Amazon says it's women's divorce fiction, so I'm not quite sure how those two. Anyway, moving on. For his book, he got $800,000.
That's insane.
800,000.
How is that even?
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, but he got that, and he was like, yeah, this is super life-changing. And of course, like, everybody was like, excuse me, can we talk about your book?
I haven't even heard of that book.
I had to look it up right before we went live, and like I don't know. Maybe I should read it so that way I can get a better feel, because I don't want to pass judgment on somebody's works that I haven't read. But just the fact that he got that much in advance, I've never heard of anybody getting paid that much before. I never have.
I really need to know. Have you, our darling listeners, have any of you read this before?
Is it a good book? Like, okay, but so I want to move on to another male counterpart. And his name is Scott Westerfeld. Excuse me, names are not my forte. So he wrote a series of books, and I just want to throw those numbers at you as well. So he's got a series called The Midnighters. He got paid $7,500 times 3 for each book. And then his Uglies trilogy, he got paid $15,000 for each of those 3 books. And then there's another one called So Yesterday Peeps Last Days. He got paid $40K for those 3 books. We're not done. He wrote a book called Extras. He got paid $175K. Leviathan, that got paid $400K. Another thing called The Spill Zone got $75K times 2 for the script. Afterward got $500K, and then New Uglies got another $500K times 4 because he did 4 books.
Wow. Yeah, and that's wow. And like Uglies it's a pretty popular series. I remember when it launched and everyone in BookTube was talking about it. I think that, well, not with the launch, but with the subsequent books, because I think the first book came out in like early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So I could understand like the smaller, like 15K. Smaller was in quotes. Y'all just couldn't see them. But then $500,000 per book. Holy moly. Holy moly.
I'm just shaking my head. I think the only time I was offered royalties in a contract, which has not been finalized yet, but the only time I was offered royalties was for a whopping $100.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between smaller houses versus these huge publishing houses.
Wow. Yeah, and I am going to be honest, I was a little bit of a creeper on Chip Creek, and I went and checked out his website and everything else, and he made the website on Squarespace, and it's just got like the book and where you can buy it at on there, and I was just kind of like, I think I was telling Tamara, I was like, I think you and I work too hard. Like, I think we work way too hard.
Yeah, because looking at, and granted, this is not everybody, but some of these people that we were looking at, like just their websites to try to get more information about them so we could present information to y'all, like, what is this? There's nothing here. What is this?
And one thing I do want to make clear is I'm not trying to like go after the authors. I'm definitely giving the side eye to the publishing houses, who I would like to point out still have not had anything to say on this topic. They haven't spoken out at all. And that drives me nuts.
It's probably, I mean, honestly, it's probably within their best interest to not speak out, because sometimes speaking out can make things a little bit more murky.
Yeah, kind of like this other story that I don't want to dive into. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. We'll use that segue. So I don't know if anybody knows anything about Red Sofa Literary, but you know, they basically do representation for authors, and the owner on May 29th decided to take onto themselves to go to Twitter and say a couple of things, and I just want to share. So, and I do want to point out these tweets are gone, but unfortunately on the internet, once it is on the internet, it's there forever. So I could find these tweets. So Dawn is the owner of Red Sofa Literacy, and she started off by talking about how the gas station at the end of her block was getting looted. That's her terminology. And she's going to call the cops and let them know, and saw multiple carloads of folks running out quite a few cars. So I'm not quite sure what she meant with that statement, but one of the people that she represents said, please do not call the cops right now. And she said, it seems only businesses are getting hit right now, getting the car ready to be safe. If I need to make an unexpected visit, I think I'll be okay. Ask me later. I'm paraphrasing that just a little bit. And again, the person that she represented said, please do not, she said, please do be safe. This is also scary. And imagine if you were black right now. Please do not call the police anymore during this time. They can't help in a community-oriented way. Literally, all it stands for is to fuck with people's long-term freedom through prosecution. And Dawn responded with, I didn't know people/cars noted looting. Winky face. She put winky face in there. Like, just that it needed to be boarded up. 100% with you, not trying to provide other info. Winky face again. I don't know about you guys, but my part of America, we don't use emojis in serious situations because it can be misconstrued in all sorts of ways.
And it sounds asinine. Like, come on, lady.
Yeah. So anyway, so following this tweet, 3 of her agents resigned. Like, just like right away, they just resigned. And on May 30th, she issued the following statement. And when I say she, I'm still referring to Dawn. And she wrote, 2 days ago, I tweeted about calling the police to report looting in a nearby gas station. The consequences of calling the police for any reason during this time frankly didn't occur to me, and I'm sorry that it took this situation for me to see it. Property isn't worth more than a human life, and in that moment, I didn't quite equate calling the police to report property damage with the reality that doing so could cause harm to the people currently fighting racism in my community. I'm deeply sorry for anyone I hurt with this careless action. And she had some other BS, and it doesn't matter to me because right after she issued this apology, she started sending cease and desist letters to people on Twitter.
So she sent letters to Beth Phelan, Isabel Sterling, Kelly Van Sant, and Laura Zatz. So she had said to, and what's interesting, okay, is that they were agreeing with the apology that she'd sent and tweeted out, but apparently Bell has admitted making statements repeated by others and interpreted to be racist and sexist. I don't understand how she can say thank you for holding me accountable and teaching me, even though it's not your responsibility to do so. I will work to be better. And then on June 8th, they receive a letter from her lawyer that's threatened defamation action. How does that even work?
I already have issues with that because the only people that sometimes can hold us accountable are the people that we surround ourselves with. Like, if I went out and did some asshole thing, I would really hope that my friends, including Tamara, would come out and be like, Carrow, I love you. You're being a fucking asshole. Stop it. Right? Like, that's why we make these relationships. And if I have my friends come and tell me I'm doing this really stupid thing, I'm gonna stop doing it. Like, who else is supposed to check her crazy ass behavior? Excuse my language.
So the letter demanded that we delete our respective posts regarding Dawn's actions and further publish retractions, saying that, quote unquote, she did not make any racist or other improper statements, validating the behaviors that we had previously condemned. Failing this, we were told Dawn will pursue legal action against us for defamation. We interpret these demands as an attempt to not only silence us, but to compel us to lie for her. We refuse. So they have a GoFundMe for their lawyer fees. It's wild that she made the tweets, made the apology, deleted all her tweets, and then it was like, oh, by the way, here's a lawsuit. And I feel like this kind of lawsuit is more to dictate the actions of the other people, more of like a threat. And it's a nuisance because lawsuits and lawyering up, that costs a lot of money. Like right now they're trying to raise $75,000, and that's not a little amount for agreeing that she was being egregious. Like, that's just it's such a Karen move.
I mean, and is she gonna go after all the other people that retweeted what she said? Because like, she deleted the account and got rid of the tweets, but I found them within 30 seconds because somebody who's not even one of these two individuals that she's going after screenshotted and tweeted them. So what about that person? Like, I'm sorry, if you act like an asshole, and this is literally, I guess that's my word of the day, if this is literally what's happening. She's doing the public apology to save face, but then behind closed doors is going after everybody saying, don't talk bad things about me. Like, you made your bed, lay in it, and just do actions that make you a better person. Like, you can't get around people walking away with an impression of you. Like, that's just how it is. That's human nature. And sending a lawyer after people is honestly a bullying tactic as far as I'm concerned. And we all know what my fucking thoughts on bullies are.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. And it's going to be wasting their time and their money and their effort to defend themselves because they agreed with her tweet that she did a bad. So, if you don't want to be called out, then don't do stupid things publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Much like BookOutlet. Oh my gosh. So, my next story. BookOutlet versus BookTube. Oh my gosh. So there was this whole conversation on Twitter about people who had tried and failed to secure a book outlet contract, essentially acting as an ambassador for the outlet. BookOutlet is a online store where you can essentially buy discounted books. And I'm going to assume that because so many people are really concentrating on race right now, there was BookTubers who were looking at BookOutlet's site and they were like, hey, where's the black people? There was one person, but all this time there hasn't been anyone else. What's going on? So BookOutlet's initial response was, our vlogger friends are chosen based on engagement, following, and content. We maintain a family-friendly appearance, so we do not sign on applicants who swear / post explicit content. Diversity is important, and we have been looking to round our team with qualified men and women. The problem with that is that, one, they do have people that swear with their content, and two, they were kind of making it sound like these black content creators who were reaching out to them and who were interested in being part of their team weren't family friendly, which that's a problem. So Naya reads and smiles, stopped working with them after 5 years because of this and other things, but this was the major thing that she spoke about in her video. They'll be linked downstairs. She sent them an email to let them know that she would no longer be working with them, and they sent a response to the wrong booktuber. I don't know how they made that mistake. I mean, dang, y'all just had to click reply. Like, it's not even
yeah, you told me that, and I was like, how hard is it to send a reply email? Like, it's just one button. Like,
you literally just click reply, y'all. Like, what are you doing out here? But yeah, so she was talking about that and how she had been, when she was initially signed up with them, her platform was pretty small. So that was another thing that didn't quite gel with what they were saying. So this became a huge thing, and it was trending, and people were very angry, and they had to issue another follow-up statement. We hear you and have taken your comments, messages, and emails to heart. We want to make it clear that we absolutely stand with the Black community, and we are incredibly sorry for the hurt that was caused by comments made that indicate otherwise. We also acknowledge that there are opportunities to make changes to better reflect our genuine belief, which is that we are proud to have an incredible customer base of smart, courageous, and wonderfully diverse readers. And it goes on from there. And they were saying that they were going to change the vlogger friend program, which again is their ambassador program for vloggers. And they're going to enhance their website so that books representing the Black community could be easily located while browsing. And they're going to continue to live out their core purpose of enchanting the mind one book at a time by making additional book donations that will go directly into the hands of young Black readers. I feel like this was fine for, PR. but I don't think that there's going to be a lot of booktubers who's going to feel as though they're being sincere.
I wouldn't. That sounds like a lot of office BS to me. It's like, oh, we did a bad thing, but this is what we're going to do to change. Like, I don't believe the words until I see the actions. So I'm just going to sit here and wait.
Yeah, so we'll see.
BookTube gets such a bad, like, I'm sorry, I was just thinking about it, because, like, BookTube is a really involved community, and, you know, we're the sister tube of it, right? And, you know, they had YouTube try and take their name from them to do, like, that one book review thing where they basically had some, you know, book reviewers talk to the author and stuff like that. When there were individuals who were doing panel discussions about these books, like, for a really long time.
Wait, I missed... What were you talking about?
Remember, it was like in our second episode when YouTube decided to do YouTube originals, and they called it BookTube. And you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it wasn't any actual. I think there was a couple of actual booktubers, like Ariel Bissett was involved, but other people who aren't booktubers, like Evelyn of the Internets, who has a big platform but doesn't really talk about books.
Yeah, it just, I mean, and I know that the way of business is to see what works and what's trending and see if you can implement that, but, like, you know, it'd just be nice if people could just give credit where credit's due.
Oh, also, it was at Bookish Bethany, the beautifully Bookish Bethany, that's her Twitter name. She was the one who received the email that was not meant for her. And she kind of posted a screenshot of it and was like, hey, this isn't me. And I still wonder how they made that mistake, but what are you going to do? Moving forward.
Oh, wait, I have something that's not controversial that I think people should know about. So Twitter's done this new feature, and I just think it's an interesting point of discussion that I'd like to bring up with you, our dear listener. Where Twitter's made it possible when somebody starts a Twitter thread that the author of the thread can go and hide other people's comments. And you can still access those comments because there's like a button that you can click on to go see what those comments are. And I think I have mixed thoughts on this because it feels like they're trying to control the narrative of the conversation while pushing other voices to the side. And then the other thing that I'm kind of like tilting my head side to side about is that by hiding the comments, people are going to see that you're hiding those comments and it draws more attention to it. So like, I feel like this is one of those things that's like good in theory but bad in practice.
I've noticed that with like very large threads, and I've wondered what that purpose was, and like, is this something that anyone's able to do? And what would be the purpose of doing that, like, personally? So I think that for me, if I were going to be hiding tweets, it would be because there was like abusive language, things like that in it, not because I disagreed with someone's point of view. But that doesn't mean that the way I feel is the way that other people would utilize this tool.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that Twitter already has a policy against tweets like that. Anything that like encourages violence or that kind of language, like they've already got like that in there. So it's like I got mixed thoughts. I just want to know what you guys think about this new change. Do you think it's for the good? Do you think it's for the bad? Do you think it's redundant? Like, just let me know. Like, we literally found it like 5 minutes before we started recording. I was like, I have questions.
Well, you know, when you do report a tweet that is abusive, it takes them quite some time before they actually do something about it. So I guess in this particular instance, if it was to be used for abusive language, then it's like an immediate thing. Whereas with Twitter, it could take like 48 hours, 72 hours before they actually get to your tweet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So moving right along, this is a callback to something that we reported, I feel like it was last year, the Internet Archive.
Was it last year? I guess it was last year. About all those books that were basically on the archive for free and people could just go and download it, but like it's free for the reader, but it's not free for the author, and we can't keep making books if we can't afford food from our work.
Yes, spoiler alert. No, not really. Oh. But so Chuck Wendig, he was the one who initially started this discussion. He's a New York Times bestselling author. And he started this discussion about Internet Archive, and it became this huge thing, huge on author Twitter, bookish tweets, whatever, huge thing. And it seemed like there was a us versus them, like authors versus readers, where a lot of the readers were very angry that authors wanted to be paid. I don't really understand this concept where people expect for others to create art and to put a lot of work into a product and then to not get paid for it. I don't understand that. I don't get it. Like, writing a book isn't something that you could just do in a day. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and often it takes a team of people for this product to be created. And it is a product. I don't know why people expect authors to create these products and then not get paid for it, but that's neither here nor there. And one of the issues with Internet Archive is that they were getting these books and they were giving it to people for free, and the authors weren't getting paid for it. When a library gets a book, they purchase a license, and it's only available for X amount of times. And then they have to purchase another license for the book. It doesn't go on, or at least for the ebooks, it doesn't go on forever. So the New York Times, their book section, reported that the Internet Archive is ending its program of offering free, unrestricted copies of ebooks because of a lawsuit from publishers, which said lending out books without compensation for authors or publishing houses was, quote unquote, willful mass copyright infringement. Which it is. But oh my gosh, poor Chuck is just being roasted by readers who are so furious that he was the one who toppled Internet Archive. And I don't think that they realize that how much this doesn't just affect bigger authors, like, the J.K. Rowlings, like little people like us. For instance, Talia Hibbert, she's a USA Today bestselling self-published author, and she recently released Take a Hint, Danny Brown. She was talking about in a tweet. Now, granted, she did not say this was specifically Internet Archive, but this was just an example. Amazon sent her an email that she needed to cease and desist with trying to sell this book on Amazon because it was available for free out on the internet streets. She looked it up. She found that her book was being pirated and over 10,000 copies had been given away. 10,000 copies. She's not like this huge best-selling author has millions of dollars in her bank. That is something that absolutely gut punched her bottom line. 10,000 copies of a book. So I have feelings. What do you think?
I think that the people don't really seem to understand all the work that goes into creating something. And I say this as somebody who does do artistic things and somebody who also does literary things. And there's a lot of, I hate using the word entitlement because I don't think it's fully appropriate in this context, but there's definitely a lot of like, just give it to me. And some of the discussions I've heard about this, like I actually had somebody who came to my physical writing group, and their attitude was, well, they make enough money, so it's okay for me to steal from them. And I'm like, stealing in general it's actually not good. It's illegal. And they're like, yeah, but they make more money than me, so it's okay. Like that's been the general thought process towards this. But again, kind of redirecting it towards indie authors. If somebody bought 10,000 copies of my book, I would be pretty freaking happy. I could pay bills, I could go forward with certain ventures, I could do a lot more. And doing a lot more also includes writing a lot more. People can't write books if they have to divert their time into doing other things, like making enough income to get by. And I just think that this whole archive thing is incredibly selfish, and I I feel for Chuck. I don't think he should get this hate, but the people that are hating him, in my opinion, are scumbags.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Again, would you be like, oh, hey, I don't know, plumber, I see that you've been working on my house for, you've been in and out of here for about a week now, but hey, I'm not going to pay you. I just want you to donate your time to me. Thanks for your service. Or, like anytime that you purchase a product, anytime you need a product, you have to purchase it. I don't understand why a book shouldn't be purchased. And there are ways for people who don't have a lot of money to get books that won't hurt the author's bottom line.
It's called the library. You can go to the library. It's okay.
And, the fact that it had to be big publishers that would sue them because, indies like myself can't afford these kind of lawsuits. So, yeah, it's going to be the big publishers that are taking a bigger hit because, they represent more people. But when it comes down to it, someone like me, if 11 or 10,000 copies of my book was downloaded for free, God, that's so debilitating.
I think the thing that kind of irks me off a little bit more is that the publishers only decided to actually step in and do something when they noticed how much it was hitting their bottom line. Who knows how long it was going on before they were like, we're not making as much sales as we should. We should do something about that.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of business. Doesn't mean that it's right morally or morally sound, but
I'm just rubbing my face.
Just buy the book.
Buy the book.
Please stop from the library.
Please stop stealing our shit. Please stop. Since we're talking about things that make us rub our faces, which is my terrible segue.
Oh God, this is gonna be a ride. Okay.
Yeah, get comfortable. So, if you guys know anything about J.K. Rowling, you know that J.K. Rowling likes to be on Twitter, and she likes to tweet out all kinds of things. Sometimes it will be like little snippets or information about her book. Sometimes we don't need these tweets, but she does it. And other times she comes out and makes very questionable statements. And on the 6th of June, she decided to make the following tweet, and I'm just going to take a moment before I say it. Alright, so she tweeted, if sex isn't real, then there is no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the live reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. So this is not the first time that JK has come out with a statement of this nature, and every time she does, the internet does a really good job of catching on fire. And I remember the last time that this happened, it was a really big deal because Read with Cindy's like the week before she made her last statement in regards to anything pertaining to the trans community, was just like, I just announced this Harry Potter thing and now I've just read this and I'm not really feeling it. And I really am not a fan of this statement, and I appreciate that JK decides to be vocal about kind of things, but in regards to anything involving the LGBTQ, I really think she just needs to stay off the internet, because this is a demographic that is still evolving and is still trying to figure itself out, and she is a really big figure, and so when she comes out and says things like this, it really hurts the people who looked up to her.
Oh man. Look, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know if she is like, I need attention. I don't know if she wants to stay relevant. But she needs to stop with this bull. Stop it.
Leave the people alone. And there was enough about this that Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter in the Harry Potter movies, he kind of did like a response to her tweets, because like I said, this isn't the first time, and Daniel actually works with the Trevor Project, and that is a really big thing. And he had a lot to say here, and I'm kind of torn between reading all of it and not reading any of it, but I think I'm going to read this one paragraph for you guys. So, trans women are women. Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and the dignity of trans people and goes against all the advice given by professional healthcare associates who have far more expertise on the subject matter than Joe and I. So that's the one thing. He wrote a lot more. I'm going to link it all down below, but I think he brings up a really good point that so for those of you who don't know, the field of psychology is continually evolving, and for a really long time back in the 1980s, being gay was actually seen as a mental disorder, and it wasn't until the new updated DSM-5 that came out where they said that it's not a disorder. And what they used to do is they used to send you to therapy in hopes to fix you, but now they see it that it's a natural way of being. And they did that with individuals that were trying to transition from one gender to another as well. And these statements are really harmful to the community. It doesn't help, especially when we're still trying to figure everything out. So as much as I respect JK from a writer's standpoint, she needs to stay out of my field of psychology, and I can say that confidently because that is what my degree is. I have studied the DSM, I have studied all of the clinical procedures, I have studied a lot of things that affect things that go into HR, and not surprising to me, we do discuss LGBTQ a lot in these psychology classes because we want to make sure that when we make these environments for people who come to work, because guess what? Those people go to work. We want to make sure that they go to work in a safe place and they're productive and they're getting stuff done and they feel good about themselves. This stuff that JK does, she's not qualified to talk about as far as I'm concerned. She's spouting a bigoted opinion. And I think that's where I'm going to leave that at. Stay out of my psychology, JK. Stay out.
Here's the thing. She knows that when she says stuff like this, it's going to create horrible turmoil. She knows that it's going to upset people. She knows that she's going to be quote unquote canceled. She knows. She's done this before. This isn't her first time at the rodeo. So why do we keep having to do this? This keeps coming up every few months. So, and now it's leading to people posting things like, if you are following J.K. Rowling, then I am going to unfollow you on Twitter because this is so damaging that I can't even deal with you if you support her. And that sucks.
That hurt my feelings. One of my friends did that on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I can't, and I guess it hurts my feelings because there are only some tweets that you can see if you're actually following somebody. It's like, so if I'm following somebody for news-related reasons and you see that, you're going to unfollow me because I'm trying to check my sources, help.
So, if you're following AuthorTube news, we're following just about everybody, so don't cancel us if we follow people that you don't like.
We're just creepers, man. We're just creepers.
We're just looking for the news any way we can get it, baby. So that seems to conclude our news portion. I'm
surprised that we did that under an hour. Go us. Go us. But that brings us to...
AuthorTube news shout out.
One day we're going to afford a 10-cent sound effect, but today is not that day.
No, ma'am.
All right, so let me go ahead and get this ball rolling. So... we have missed some launches, deepest apologies, but we're going to go ahead and mention these books anyway, along with the ones that are coming out. So, one of the books that came out on May 15th was Savvy's book. So, Savvy Writes book came out with a title called One Final Vinyl, and it is a contemporary YA, and she says that it is available on Amazon and on her online store, which we will link down below for you guys. Her tagline is, one teenager, one 90-year-old woman, one final road trip before the next chapter of their lives. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
That's very cool. Next up is SD Haggis. Yay! She is our friend. She is great. She launched Damned and Desolate from the Damned and Desolate Quartet.
Yeah.
It's a paranormal romance. It launched yesterday. It's in Amazon KU for ebook and everywhere else for paperback. The tagline is, some find salvation at Shaded Glade. Sorsha finds only hell.
Ooh, I like that.
Me too.
Oh, I love her comment. Aww.
It's finally happening. I have books out again. Thanks for spreading the word. You two rock.
Aww.
My friend, you rock. Congratulations. And I hope this launch has been the best ever.
I hope you had a great launch day. Alright, so let's take a look. So the next person that we have is Rini Dahlia. And the first thing I thought was Miss Dahlia, but I don't think that's her. It doesn't look like she's got a YouTube channel, but her book title is called Her Lady's Honor. It is a historical romance, and it's actually coming out on the 22nd of this month. It's going to be available on digital and audio, and the tagline is Sexy, Daring Romance. I'm here for that.
Sassy.
Sassy. I love me some good sass.
Sassafras.
Sassafras.
And the next one we have up is Alexis D. Craig. No channel, but the book title is Unfinished and Incomplete. This is a romance that's launching June 23rd. It's going to be available on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. And the tagline is, "Here's where the story ends."
So the next and our last author for this episode is going to be Katya Desjarlis. And if I butchered your name, I'm very sorry. You have a very creative and unique name that I really struggled with. I even tried to look it up to figure out the pronunciation, so very sorry. She's got a book coming out on June 24th, and it's called Perception, The Haunt Vault Book 2. It's a paranormal romance, and it's going to be available on all major online retailers. Very nice. And then the tagline is, "He wants to be seen, she wants to be heard, the world wants them eliminated."
Oh, nice.
I'm here for that. And if I did mispronounce your name, please just send me a DM about how to say it. Okay, thanks, bye.
Whew, what a time to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
know,
Oh, go on.
I have been struggling for the past few weeks, and if you guys have been on our streams or you watched my videos or whatever, then you probably have seen that I've been a little erratic. And I just want to say that I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you enjoy our content and that you share it with people. And I don't want to get too political, but I would suggest maybe if you haven't before, brush up a little bit on some Black history. Learn about Juneteenth. That's something that's happening very soon. And just become more aware of why the things that are happening outside of the protesting, why things have gotten to this point, because it wasn't just from one specific incident. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like it's important for me to speak out where I can.
No, I totally agree. I've definitely run into some individuals these last few weeks that don't. Maybe it's because I learned about American history in Britain. I don't know. But sometimes I feel like I understand American history a lot better than certain individuals do. And I think just being aware of situations as they occur and having all the facts before spouting out things and taking quotes out of context is an important thing to do. So, and if you are one of those people that does like to do that, please don't be surprised when you get fact checked, and that just take it with some dignity, take it with some humility, because people are trying to help you help yourself.
So again, my name's Tamara Woods. I'm a cozy mystery author.
Yeah, I'm Carrow Brown. I am an urban fantasy author, and I work too hard, but I love coming here and doing this podcast with Tamara. It really is the bright side of my day. I think I'm absolutely serious. I said at the beginning of the recording, I'm going to say it again. Everything's been dark and dour, and then you and I came in here and just started doing the thing that we love to do, and that's really brightened up my week so far.
Yeah, definitely a passion project, and it's an awesome one. I love doing this, and I hope that y'all love listening to us. And this is going to be available on all kinds of different platforms, y'all.
Yeah, we're expanding. We're expanding.
Can you believe it? So this is pretty cool. So if, I don't know, if you are interested in listening not on YouTube, we are going to have that available just for you.
Making a little bit of revenue because we are poor authors. I said I wasn't going to sing. I sang. I'm sorry.
Buy me a coffee. So and that'll be, more information will be linked in the descriptions where you can find us. It's very exciting. And I think that does it.
I think it does it too. So please be safe, drink water, wash your hands, take care of each other, hold each other close, hold each other accountable, and we will see you the next time, hopefully in 2 weeks, if the world doesn't go topsy-turvy again.
Oh gosh, let's not even think about it.
Right.
Bye everybody.
Bye. Have a nice day. Bye. Please love us.
Love us. Just a little bit of love.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.